Lisa Jr., you got out of your box. How do I get you back in?
You don't.
We are talking about the haunting movie Malicious. This one is written and directed by Michael Winnick and stars Bojana, Novakovic, Josh Stewart, who you may know from the horror movie The Collector and the Collection, and Delroy Lindo. Now, it's essentially a haunted house movie at its heart. It focuses on this couple as they move to this kind of town to... the guy is kind of teaching in some kind of university, and they've been put up in this particular house, and the sister of the wife sends a gift, a housewarming gift, that is this box that she's kind of picked up, just kind of in a kind of yard sale or something. Anyway, this box, as it transpires, actually is home to a malicious spirit that, once opened by the pregnant wife, unleashes a kind of a vengeful spirit that attaches itself to the woman, causing her to have a miscarriage and ultimately taking the place of the baby. So there you go, that's your kind of your basic premise. I'm not going to go too much into the actual plot here. It's a slickly produced movie, I've got to say. It looks pretty good. The production values here are of a better quality than you would get on kind of quite a lot of horror films. Like I said, the camera, the lighting, the sound design, all is pretty top notch, I've got to say, and it makes for kind of quite a well produced movie, I've got to say. Josh Stewart, I actually think is one of my most underrated sort of character actors. He always gives this kind of quite a unique, vulnerable performance, and he does the same here. And I've got to say, I enjoyed his kind of performance against the woman who plays his wife, who I'm not going to pronounce her name again. And it's nice to see Delroy Lindo again, so I kind of like the cast here. And I've got to say, there are some kind of quite creepy moments within this movie, some quite nice kind of like, things happening off kilter, that you'll see kind of like a gap there, and it's obviously something's going to happen that I mean, it's fairly signposted kind of stuff, but nonetheless, I found it to be kind of quite, effective in a lot of means in regards to setting up some pretty decent sort of like scares and stuff like that. What doesn't work for me, it's the same old thing, I think, with kind of like kind of mid-level horror films, if that makes sense. They're just kind of predictable. The effects rely a little bit too heavily on CGI. So we have a variety of kind of female entities kind of turn up, and they are kind of they turn into this kind of like black-eyed, demonic-looking things. But it's all done with kind of CGI. And this starts right from like a baby, and I appreciate you can't really put makeup on a baby, but maybe you can tell it's obviously fairly cheap sort of CGI, and I didn't think the visual effects looked particularly good. It certainly doesn't kind of match the rest of the kind of the production, where it feels like pretty well produced. I'm gonna say it kind of falls into some particular kind of like cliches as well. Someone sees something which is clearly supernatural, yet they kind of don't really kind of freak out as much as you probably would do, or don't kind of accept it, don't talk about it, etc. It seems to be very kind of typical in these kind of like mid-level kind of like horror movies, and even the majority of horror movies, I've got to say. And I've got to say, I thought the ending was a little weak here. It kind of ends in a typical kind of fashion. I just think, man, I just wish sometimes they would have an ending which is a little bit different. There's always a little stinger. And it's just not fun at this point in the kind of like the horror movie. It's just kind of, you've seen it all before. And this movie is just something where you have seen it all before. There's nothing really new here. It's an enjoyable film. I think it's well produced. I think it's well acted. There are some creepy moments, but it's let down by some sort of weak effects and some just kind of like tired cliches. But I'll give it a 6 out of 10. It's worth a watch if you're a kind of haunted house fan. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.